We're all kind of obsessed with intelligence, right? We test for it, we reward it, we pretty much see it as the number one tool for a successful life. But what if I told you that being smart, in the way we usually measure it, has almost no connection to being happy? Today, we're going to unpack one of the most fascinating puzzles in all of psychology. It seems like such a simple question, but the answer is, well, it's not what you'd expect. I mean, you'd think that having more brain power would make you better at solving problems, hitting your goals, and, building a life that you actually enjoy. But as we're about to see, the data tells a completely different story. Okay, so first, let's just get on the same page about what we mean by intelligence. Psychologists have this pretty standard definition. It's your ability to reason, plan, solve problems, and learn from experience. Basically, it's the mental toolkit for figuring out what to do. And if life is just a long series of situations where you need to figure out what to do, then a high IQ should be a golden ticket to happiness, right? Well, here's where it gets weird. When you look at study after study, including a huge one that looked at 50 years of data, the connection between IQ and happiness is basically zero, nothing. In fact, one analysis even found a tiny negative correlation, which means smarter people were, if anything, a little bit less happy. So what on earth is going on here? To really get to the bottom of this, we have to go back in time. It turns out this whole mystery might actually come from a single misunderstanding from over 100 years ago about what intelligence even is. And it all started with a psychologist named Charles Spearman. So picture this. It's 1904. Spearman notices something interesting with school kids. The ones who are good at one thing, like French, also tended to be good at other things, like math. So we thought, aha, there must be one single underlying general mental ability that powers everything. And boom, that one idea became the foundation for our entire concept of IQ, this single number that's supposed to tell us how smart someone is. Now, Spearman's observation was totally correct, but his conclusion had a tiny hidden flaw. He just assumed that because the tests looked different, words over here, numbers over there, that they were measuring different kinds of thinking. But what if they weren't? What if all those tests were just the exact same type of problem, just dressed up in different outfits? Okay, this next idea, this is the key. This is what unlocks the entire puzzle. The problem isn't with intelligence itself. It's that we've been trying to solve all of life's problems with a tool that's really only good for one specific type of problem. So it turns out there are two types of problems in the world. On one hand, you've got well-defined problems. Think of a chess game or a math equation. The rules are crystal clear, everybody agrees what the goal is, and there's a right answer. But on the other hand, you have poorly defined problems. And these are messy. The rules are murky, they change, and there's no single right answer. Think about questions like, should I move to a new city? Or the ultimate poorly defined problem, how do I live a happy life? And here's the light bulb moment. IQ tests, by their very design, can only measure how well you solve well-defined problems. I mean, they have to, right? Otherwise, there'd be no way to grade them. So we've built our entire cultural idea of smarts around just one half of the equation, and we've been completely ignoring the other half. And this is exactly where the theory crashes into the real world. Because being a grandmaster at solving neat, tidy, well-defined puzzles gives you almost zero advantage when you're thrown into the messy, chaotic, unpredictable game of life. I absolutely love this quote because it just nails it. The skills you need to win at chess are totally different from the skills you need to navigate a relationship or find meaningful work or manage your own anxiety. Life is the ultimate poorly defined problem. And we see this play out all the time, sometimes in really dramatic ways. You have people with genius-level IQs like Christopher Langan or the chess master Bobby Fischer. I mean, these guys could solve mind-bendingly complex, well-defined problems, but they struggled profoundly with basic, poorly defined ones, like how to be a decent human being or how to not fall for crazy conspiracy theories. Their brilliance in one area just didn't translate. And look, this isn't just about a few individuals. You see the exact same paradox playing out on a massive societal scale. Over the last half-century, we've solved countless well-defined problems. We've built unbelievable technology. We've even gotten smarter, on average, according to IQ scores. And what has all that incredible progress done for our happiness? Absolutely nothing. That line has stayed completely, stubbornly flat. So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? If IQ isn't the right tool for life's big, messy problems, then what is? Well, if the diagnosis of the problem comes from psychology, the answer might just come from philosophy, and specifically from a thinker named John Gardner. John Gardner was a statesman and a philosopher who thought a lot about human potential, and it turns out he provides the perfect toolkit for these poorly defined challenges. He wasn't focused on IQ at all. He was focused on something much, much deeper: our capacity for personal renewal and lifelong growth. This quote is really the heart of Gardner's philosophy. Real growth, the kind that matters, doesn't come from just piling up facts and answers. It starts the moment you admit you don't have all the answers, and you open yourself up to the continuous, messy, lifelong education that experience provides. So the skills you need for life's messy problems, they're totally different. They're about character, not calculation. It's about learning to manage your own toxic emotions, developing the resilience to get back up after you fail, understanding that your character will take you a lot further than raw talent, and realizing that it's way more important to be interested in the world than to be interesting. These are the real arts of living. Gartner's ideas really challenge our whole model of success. We tend to think of life like it's a mountain we have to climb, with a clear summit at the top where we've finally made it. But that's a very well-defined way of thinking. He argues that life is much more like an endless unfolding, a constant process of becoming, with no final destination or high score. So, if life is this endless unfolding, how are we supposed to navigate it? Gardner's ultimate answer to the poorly defined problem of how to live is that we have to become the architects of our own meaning. And this is such a powerful, game-changing shift in perspective. Meaning isn't something you just find one day, like you're solving a riddle or discovering a hidden treasure. It's something you have to build. It's a construction project that lasts your entire life. And guess what? You're the lead builder. So what are the building materials for this project? According to Gardner, they're your commitments. You build a meaningful life through your dedication to your work, to the people you love, to your community, and to the values you're willing to stand for. He says that in our modern, ever-changing world, your identity is simply the sum of what you have committed yourself to. The true power of this idea is all wrapped up in this one heartbreaking but incredibly beautiful story that Gardner himself told. It's about a young woman and a discovery her father made in the moments right after she died. This was the note found in her wallet. And it's the entire lesson, right there. Meaning isn't some magical thing you stumble across. It's something you build. You build it out of your own life, your love, your loyalties, your passions. The ingredients are already there. You are the only one who can put them all together to create a life that is truly, uniquely yours. And so that leaves us with the ultimate poorly defined problem. A question not for an IQ test, but for the soul. A question that doesn't have one right answer. There is only your answer. What are you building?